Awesome. That's one of the matches of the just concluded NPFL. We now have Ayoola Adeleke with us, who has been part of the Bender Insurance crew throughout last season. Still part of the crew. It's good to have you, Ayodele. Ayoola Adeleke. Okay, I'm sure that information getting to me that he will join us soon. He will be the one. He has been almost about, if not the whole 36 states in the country with Bender Insurance from one state to the other, analyzing and also giving us the best of situation reports in all of these match venues. So I'll be joining us to tell us about the NPFL season, the review of this just concluded season. What were the highlights for him? And you can also join us by telling us what's your own highlight for this concluded season. Are you now happy, or how did you feel about this? Some are saying that it's good that it was an abridged season, but we were told that abridged is because of it wants to get in date with international calendar. So many things have happened, and the Super 6 came about where Eyimba, and good one for Remo Stars. But other things where we couldn't get Bender Insurance going to the continent, they're able to get the Federation Cup, which they defeated Rangers. So all these things are highlights of the just concluded season. And Ayoola Adeleke will give us his own expert opinion on this wonderful moment. Hello, Ayoola. It's good to have you.
Yeah, good evening. Thanks for having me once again on Plus Sport. It is good doing it with you guys once again. Apologies for coming late.
I have to let our listeners, our viewers know that you are one of the sought after sports football analysts in the country, because I have to also let them know that you're just leaving a radio program and you're joining us right now, so they should bear with us.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So now, we look at the review of the NPFL season that just closed through the Super 6. You've traveled across the states in the country with Bender Insurance. What's your highlight? And I'm sure what you are saying now is worth writing down, because you have a life experience of what went on in some stadiums. But before I even let you that, how many states did you visit during this season? And how many of the stadia did you visit?
Yeah, precisely before this season with Bender Insurance, NPFL has been what we've always been spreading its gospel all across board. So before coming or before joining Bender Insurance for the journey this season, I've been to different states and I've been to different stadiums. So being Bender Insurance this season made me to go to some other stadium, for the opt-in times, those I've been to before, those I haven't been to before. But I think some stadium I went to this season were Gombe and Maiduguri. I haven't been to those stadiums before, but I went there this season because of Bender Insurance. And meaning that from my calculations so far, I have about 5 states left that I haven't visited in this country, talking about Nigerian football generally. But this season, I think we went to Oyo State, we went to Ogun State, we went to Maiduguri in Borno State, we went to Gombe State as well, Plateau twice, where we played against Nasarawa United, Plateau United, and which other state did we go to? We went to Eyimba, of course. Aba is a very popular ground for us who have been covering NPFL for a long time. So we also went to Aba, we went to Calabar for the FA Cup, we went to Oka twice for the FA Cup round of 16 and the quarterfinal match. They also went to Lagos for the semi-final as well as for the Super 6. Lagos, of course, I think it's a very popular place for almost all journalists to have been to. So basically, we saw good stadia, and at the same time, we saw some that are nothing to write home about, in all honesty. And I do ask how the NPFL got to approve some of this. I would not want to talk too much because of Bender Insurance, so that it do not look like Bender Insurance are attacking them. But I'm talking as a sport journalist now. And, some of these stadia I saw, we must say, one of them is the Maiduguri Stadium. in the Borno State, not a very good one. The Academy home ground. Also, that of Gombe is another stadium that, for me, I think is not also a very good ground. Although some people have come out to say that it's a good ground. But I can tell you that many journalists in Nigeria will tell you that going to Gombe is like you are going on suicide mission, because even appearance speaks louder, as they will say, or speak volume. When you get inside the stadium, you see the bench is already, torn. It's not a place where you can even sit and have a shed under rain, because it usually be soaked up. And this is all due to fans' reactions, throwing stone, hard objects, and all that, which also happened to Bender Insurance in one of their journey there. Then also another place I've been to is the New Jos Stadium. A very good stadium, I can tell you, architectural wise. It's a very good edifice. If only it can be well built up, I think that would be more like the third best stadium in the country after Abuja Stadium and the next of champion in Uyo. But then, the stadium has been abandoned, not completed, and people are still playing. It rained in our last match against Nasarawa United, and people had no place to hide. People had to be running up and down. Cameras could not even see a place to stand and all that. So just quite unfortunate that we've got some areas, some stadia in the country that are not just very good, which I feel the IMC can work on next season.
The issue of the long distance, from one state to the other, how does this tell on the players? Because, you've been to Gombe, and when you tell me you're going to Gombe, or you say you're going to Maiduguri, just, you're in the border, extreme border of the country. So don't you think the fatigue lies on the players, and you yourself, the fatigue, and how do you go about it? Do you rest all day, or you go many days beyond this? Just tell me from your own experience. The season is over. We are talking to someone that who has seen it all.
Yeah, talking about the venue and all that, I think something worked well for Bender Insurance last season, and that is the fact that they traveled to all these states via air, like Maiduguri, Borno State, like Jos as well. They went to Gombe by air. The northern part, they traveled by air. And, although it still had toll on them as well, but at the same time, it is not compared to you traveling bad roads and all that. There was a time when we had flight issues and we had to travel from Jos to I think another state like that. The road there was a very bad one. And I was like, oh, how are the players who are traveling here? How do they manage? People who go by road almost every time. So it's a very, very tiring one. I must say that one. That's why going by flight alone also, it take a toll on the player. But one thing the Bender Insurance management did last season was that if you have a match on Saturday or Sunday, if you have a match on Sunday, we travel by Thursday. So we arrive there by Thursday, all things being equal. But in case of flight cancellation, we arrive by Friday, and players have the whole Friday to rest, or they train, then Saturday they rest. So they always have one day to rest, to have themselves well prepared for the main match on Sunday, or if it's to be on Saturday, we travel by Wednesday, so that we always have that extra one day to rest, doing nothing. So at least to rest the muscle apart from training and warm up and all that. So that also worked well for them. But the truth of the matter is, it is taking a toll on Nigerian players, not only Bender Insurance players, but other players, other team players, because traveling that road, some had to travel. Imagine coming from Maiduguri down to Benin City, and the next match you are playing away to Ibadan, and from Ibadan you are going to Uyo before going back to Maiduguri. Not a very good one. Players have to go by road. If only the roads are good, it would have been another case entirely, because we have smooth road. You won't even know if you are journeying for 20, 25 hours. But when you have bad roads where you have to struggle, you have to hold, the vehicle parts, just for you to hit your head on something and all that. So coupled with the fact that insecurity as well, because traveling at times can be very, very scary. You have, I think about 2 teams were attacked during this season, a season that it was, not even the full season. So I feel one thing that needs to just be worked on is just this traveling issue. But then I think it is not a too good experience for Nigerian players.
Okay, away from that experience, now let's look at the highlight of the season for you. That's also an highlight, But let's look at the other light on the field of play and every other thing, for the very fact that one of the highlight people will say, let me throw that to you now, is how Bender Insurance was able to go throughout the season unbeaten. And what can you say to that? That's one of the highlights. So tell us about that.
Yeah, it's a very huge one. It's a very big one for Bender Insurance, as well as people of Edo State, their fans all across the world. Because Bender Insurance, as I said the last time I appeared on the particular show, maybe here, I can't say precisely. The season Bender Insurance gained promotion 2018-19 season, the league was a bridge league, and Bender Insurance went back on relegation. Not because they were not good, not because they didn't know what to do then, but because firstly, there was no enough time for them to prepare to sign players and all that. I think they finished the NNL. It was about 3 weeks after they were to start the NPFL. So there was no room for them to have enough rest, training, tour, preseason tour, and the signing of players. And that had a toll on them, and they went back on relegation. So when this season also came to be, after gaining promotion, they had to go on a bridge league as well. There were a lot of uncertainty, fears, all over the fans of Bender Insurance, and even some members of the management team as well, because we were like, the same way we went to relegation 2019, we are coming back and they are still coming with a big league. But being the highlight, the team itself, the highlight of the season, the main highlight of the season, we will not take away Enyimba's glory from winning the league, but we also, what Bender Insurance did, playing the whole Bridge League season unbeaten, playing 18 games and extending it in the Super Six, the first 3 games before losing to eventual third place team in the league, talking about Rivers United and the Remo Stars in the last match. And coincidentally, it was Rivers United that last defeated Bender Insurance in the NPFL before they beat them again during the Super Six. That was in 2019, the last team that defeated Bender Insurance, and this time around they did it again after 21 games. But for Bender Insurance, playing away to teams like Kora United, to teams like Air Academy Warriors, teams like Rivers, what's the name now, Aqua United, and picking maximum point on the soil there, playing 1-1 against Enyimba. All teams they played against, they were able to pick a point there. And it was only Shooting Stars and Gombe United that escaped defeat in the hands of Bender Insurance. Shooting Stars 2-2 first leg, 1-1 second leg, then Gombe United 0-0 home and away. Only the 2 teams, avoid being beaten by Bender Insurance. The rest team were beaten and drawn in reverse fixture. So it was a very big one for Bender Insurance and for the players, and they are all happy that they were able to do that. And also, capping it with the FA Cup, they were able to win. Although, unfortunately, they couldn't just pick something at the Super Six. People had expected that they were going to burn out, and that definitely told on the players because of enough rest, fatigue setting in, and depth of the team. So, which I think that the management has learned from.
Yeah, well said. And I'm sure beginning of the season, there was a certain player from Bender Insurance in Madi. I've been making headlines, but we didn't hear the best of him towards the end of season. Are we hoping that Bender Insurance should still be with Imadi Imadi should still be with Bender Insurance rather for the end of the season? Tell us about Imadi. I know that the report that he was with an IFL, University of Benin, on one certain school before he got with Bender Insurance. Tell about Imadi.
Yeah, engineer. Let me call him by his profession. Engineer Imadi Osarenko, a graduate of University of Benin Engineering Department. She started his playing days from the University of Benin, playing in the Nuga games, playing in the HIFL, High Institutional Football League, and she had got some good spells there. That was where the deputy governor of the state, get to identify him, because Bender Insurance, we are making use of this University of Benin Sports Complex when they were renovating the Samuel Gbemodia Stadium. So she saw him play in HIFL and was like, oh, this is a very good talent. We can bring him on, and they brought him on. She played in the first league he was in the team in the first league that we got relegated in 2019. Okay. So he's been with the team since 2019. And this time around, he came on board, showing what a bit of what he could offer, because he's a very young player. He's raw. Yes, he's not a refined striker yet, but he's got the potential, and we saw that in him scoring 8 goals, 10 in total for Bender Insurance. He scored the opening goal of the season against Aqua United at the National Champion. Then he scored the closing goal of the season, talking about the FA Cup goal in at the Stephen Keshi Stadium against Enugu Rangers in the FA Cup final. So you want to say that he's got the potential, and he's got the future bright for him. It's only a matter of him, building on what has happened this season. But talking about him staying back, with Bender Insurance next season. Well, I'm not his manager. I'm not into his agency, so I wouldn't know what his plans are or if he intend to leave. But I can assure you that if it were to fit for Bender Insurance, they definitely want to keep him. They want to have their player, around, because take a look at Bender Insurance. Although many people do not know them, but these guys have been together for at least 3-4 years from the NNL. There was a time they were on the verge of gaining promotion, but because of COVID-19, they couldn't gain promotion. They had to cancel the season and start afresh until they gain promotion. So they've been together, they've known each other, the synergy is there, although they are not that big stars yet, and that was why they took many people by surprise. So for Imade, yeah, it's a very big one. I wish him best luck or best of luck if he intends to leave the shores of the country or Bender Insurance. Of course, we want players to always grow and become better, but I believe that Bender Insurance also have got everything in place to keep him. He is definitely going to be a very star boy for them in the future. And financially, Bender Insurance have got the width, and players welfare as well. They have that as well to rival any team in Nigeria. Maybe if a mouth-watering offer comes from abroad, they might consider that one. But for what I have now as information, Imade definitely is going to be Bender Insurance come next season.
Yeah, interesting. I'm sure Imade has made Bender Insurance so proud. I'm sure a lot of people now consider the fact that you can go to the university and still be a professional soccer player. Now, how bad do you think they missed out in the league, in the continent? I think that should have been. Was that compensated by the Federation Cup, which they've won in the past? How does it feel not? Like you told me in one of the shows that we called you, you said even retaining themselves in the NPFL is a wonderful one, and even going to play Super 6 is a very wonderful one too. But did you think they missed out, or how do you feel about missing out in the continent? How would it have been if they went to the continent?
Yeah, if they had gone to the continent from the league, it would have been a very great one for them. The reason is because you cannot play 18 games unbeaten run and fail to win the league or book a place in the continent. You understand that one, but it is football, and we learn every day. As I told you from the beginning of the season, the initial mindset, I can say this any day, anytime. The initial mindset of Bender Insurance was to get to the league, make sure you secure your status for next season. But as it would come, they were winning their games and they were doing well, so they were not going to relent. Unfortunately, the lack in depth for the team. There are not enough players that you can always call upon, to come to the rescue. Reason is because large chunk of players used in the NNL are still very much in the team. I can tell you about over 20 of them are still very much in the team. Only few of them that were brought in, players like Austin Ogunye, Ebenezer Odeyemi, Osas Okoro, who else was brought on? Babatunde Ogungbe, and I think one more player. Only five players were brought on board. The rest have been together from the NNL. So probably the NNL experience, isn't enough for them to do well, especially where it matters most, the Super 6, or the depth in squad as well, the second factor. Because if they had a couple of signings in January transfer window, probably they would have had something to fall back on. And thirdly is the fatigue that's setting because of the way the calendar was scheduled and all that. They had to play, about 10 games in 15 days. Which that is, I don't want to put it now. To put that through alone is miraculous. But they did that, and people can see. But nevertheless, it is not a good one that they couldn't pick ticket, from the league or win the league. But the good thing is they ended the season on a bright note, gaining the second Confederation Cup, ticket after winning the FA Cup.
Yes, that's interesting. Now let's go back to the NPFL updates. I think a lot of things have been going on about the NPFL updates. We know that the latest update is the very fact that we have Fidelis Ilechukwu will be going to Rangers. I don't know how many percent on that. So tell us, let's start with Fidelis Ilechukwu set to join Enugu Rangers. How do you see that? We know a lot of people have followed his career when he was in Lagos with MFM and others. Tell us about Fidelis Ilechukwu set to join Enugu Rangers.
Yeah, Fidelis Ilechukwu is a very great guy. A delight to watch as a coach on the touchline. He gives you the vibes of Jose Mourinho, Antonio Conte all together. And he's a guy that is a very cool-headed guy. She, despite his years of coaching in Nigerian football, I think he's 19 years already in NPFL. Or in Nigerian football as a whole, from the NNL to the NPFL as a coach. 19 years of his career so far. But you see him, come down to players' level. We've seen videos of him, teaching players how to dance, break dance, and all that, playing with them, gisting and all that. Even on match day, when they score goals, the celebration with his player. So he has always been creating the synergy in everything he has been to, starting from MFM FC in Lagos State. We saw what he did with them there, then going down to, Heartland FC, of Owerri, until the unfortunate, incident of him being old, came up before moving on to Plateau United. And if not for the late, time in the league where he lost to Remo Stars, he could probably have been, in the Super Six as well. But it is football. Anything happens and it cracks like egg where you least expected. So, but Fidelis Ilechukwu being linked to Enugu Rangers now, he is, of course, of that region, talking about the southeastern part of Nigeria. It's like going home, having assurance that he's definitely going to work with people that he understands the environment, the terrain he understands, the language he speaks and all that. And, that's going to help him. Besides, Enugu Rangers, we saw what they did last season. Despite having a very poor run from the start of the season, they were able to get to the final of the FA Cup. They were able to escape relegation. They keep on flying, just as the name is, the flying antelope. And working with another great man who has got so much knowledge about Nigerian football, from being a player to an administrator, talking about Davidson Oumi, the CEO of the NPFL. I think Ilechukwu is going to have a very good run out there in Enugu Rangers. Just let him get one or two players that will help him, work out his philosophy. And I believe that at the end of the day, Rangers would, come good with Ilechukwu. He has also got enough experience from teams that he has coached. I'm sure that he must have been picking one or two notes of, one or two notes on areas where probably he failed, or areas he couldn't, work on perfectly. He must have worked on them. And going to another club now, I think Rangers of Enugu will definitely be benefiting from all past shortfalls that he has had as a coach, because everything he put together now is going to make him a better coach. So I see Ilechukwu, they call him the working one. Yes, I see him, doing fine there. There's another nickname we call him that is keeping my head now. Kamara. Yes, I see him, doing fine out there in Enugu Rangers if the deal eventually pushed through.